Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're trying something a little different today. Usually we take a whole stack of articles, right, from the past week, maybe the past month. But today we are zooming in on a single day.
Just one snapshot.
A snapshot of the future, basically.
Oh.
We're looking at the news from January 17th, 2026. And I have to be honest, going through this source material, specifically the Sunday Blender newsletter, it felt less like reading the news and more like reading a sci-fi novel where the author had, I don't know, a bit too much caffeine.
It really does have that disorienting quality, doesn't it? But that's the trick. None of this is speculation. This is the grounded reality of 2026. We are looking at sources covering everything from, robotics to tax law.
Yeah.
When you lay them all out side by side, it's not just random noise.
It feels like noise at first. I mean, the intro alone teases robots that can twist their torsos 360 degrees.
It's something out of The Exorcist, yeah.
Exactly. And then the official collapse of the metaverse and a rogue elephant terrorizing villages in India. It's a lot. But you're seeing a through line in all this.
I am. The thread tying all of this together is transition. We aren't just seeing new gadgets or new laws. We are seeing the physical manifestation of things we've been talking about theoretically for years. AI is moving from a chat box into a physical body. The old hierarchies of tech, like, Apple versus Google, they're collapsing into something unrecognizable. Even human and animal migration patterns are shifting fundamentally. We're in the messy middle of a massive transformation.
The messy middle. I like that. And speaking of messy, we should probably mention our primary source, the Sunday Blender, was curated with the help of an AI.
Oh, yeah. Claude, right.
Claude. The editor apparently used 7 different Python scripts just to scrape and organize this.
Which is just deeply ironic, considering a huge chunk of the news is about AI disrupting the very industries that are reporting on it.
The snake eating its own tail. So let's start with the part of the snake that has actual metal teeth. The robotics news. This is coming out of CES 2026 in Vegas, and it is, well, it's intense. We have Jensen Huang, the CEO of Nvidia, on stage at the Fontainebleau. And he didn't just announce a new chip. He basically announced a new species.
He declared that the ChatGPT moment for physical AI is here. And that is a very, very specific distinction he's making.
Okay, so unpack that for me. Because we've had robots for decades, Roombas, factory arms. What makes this the ChatGPT moment?
Well, think about what ChatGPT did for text, right? It took these rigid coded responses and replaced them with fluid, adaptable understanding.
Right.
Huang is saying we finally reached that point for the physical world. Machines are now understanding, reasoning, and acting in real 3D space, not just following some pre-programmed path. He introduced the Rubin platform,
which is NVIDIA's next-gen AI infrastructure. And the big selling point was the cost, which sounds boring, but I have a feeling it's not.
It's the most important part. The key takeaway from that keynote is that Rubin delivers AI tokens at 1/10 the cost of previous platforms.
1/10.
1/10. Now, why does that matter for a robot? Because navigating the physical world takes a massive amount of real-time processing. Every step, every grasp, every balance correction, it's a calculation.
And if those calculations are expensive, the robot is just a novelty.
Exactly. But if they're cheap, 1/10 the cost, the robot becomes a viable product. It can think about its movement constantly without bankrupting the battery or the server bill.
I see.
And they aren't just keeping this in a lab. They announced Alpamayo, a reasoning model for autonomous vehicles. The Mercedes-Benz CLA is going to be the first car to feature it.
So your car isn't just following lane markers anymore. It's actually reasoning about the environment.
That's the idea. It sees a ball roll into the street and predicts the child chasing it rather than just reacting to the pixels.
That's impressive. But a car still looks like a car. The thing that actually kept me up at night was the footage of the new Atlas robot from Boston Dynamics.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen the old videos, the parkour, the backflips. They were cool. This new production model for 2026, it feels different. It feels glitchy, but in real life.
It's the difference between mimicking a human and optimizing for physics. The old Atlas was hydraulic. This new one is all electric with 56 degrees of freedom. But the whole design philosophy has changed.
It was the movement that got me.
Yeah.
There's this one clip where it's facing away from the camera, and instead of turning around like a person would, stepping its feet, rotating its hips,
twists.
It just twists his head and torso 180 degrees. The legs stay put. It looked like a video game character that bugged out.
It's unsettling to our biology for sure, but it's incredibly efficient for engineering. Why waste energy turning the whole chassis when you can just swivel the actuators? The robot doesn't care about front or back.
It just cares about the task.
And for the business side, that efficiency is money. And they're treating it like a tool now, not a research project.
Right, that's the big shift.
That's the transition theme again. Hyundai is the majority shareholder now. They're putting these bots into car plants by 2028 for part sequencing. And the maintenance model is fascinating.
Battery swapping.
It can autonomously swap its own batteries, and if an arm breaks, it's field replaceable in under 5 minutes.
That field replaceable detail is what sells it for me. It's not send it back to the lab for 6 months. It's swap the part, get back to work.
Plus, there's the fleet learning aspect. If one Atlas in a factory in Korea figures out a better way to grip a door handle,
Every Atlas in the world knows it instantly.
it's a hive mind.
See, that's where the sci-fi alarm bells start ringing for me. A hive mind of physical robots that can twist their heads backward. But okay, let's pivot. While Nvidia and Boston Dynamics are surging, we're seeing a massive capitulation from one of the biggest names in tech, Apple and Google.
This is a bombshell. If you follow the industry, you know Apple and Google have been in a Cold War for, 15 years?
At least.
But the news from January 2026 is that Apple has effectively surrendered. They are paying Google about $1 billion a year to base Siri's brain on Google's Gemini model.
I don't get that on the surface. Apple's the king of we own everything. The chip, the phone, the OS. Why would they outsource the most important part of the future interface, the intelligence, to their biggest rival?
It's incredibly dangerous, but the alternative was irrelevance. The sources mention internal evaluations showed Siri was failing about 33% of complex queries.
A third of the time.
A third of the time. In 2026, with the competition doing what they're doing, you cannot have a voice assistant that fails that often. Apple realized their own models just weren't cutting it. As the newsletter put it, the pioneer has become the customer.
But doesn't this turn Apple into just a hardware shell? If Google owns the brain, what is Apple providing? Just the aluminum and glass.
That is the billion-dollar question. It suggests that in this new era, the model is the commodity that matters, not the device. It really signals the end of the siloed ecosystem. But speaking of endings, we have to talk about Stack Overflow.
This one hit me hard. I'm not a coder, but I know Stack Overflow is the holy grail.
Yeah.
If you were stuck, you went there.
It was the repository of human coding knowledge. But just look at the numbers. In 2014, they had 250,000 questions asked per month.
Okay.
By January 2026, it's down to about 300.
Wait, 300? Not 300,000. 300.
300. It's not a decline. It's an extinction event. It's a ghost town.
So where did everyone go?
They went to the AIs. Developers are using assistants like GitHub Copilot or Claude Code. Why would you post a question on a forum, wait 4 hours, and risk getting yelled at by a stranger for not formatting your code right?
Right.
When an AI can just debug it for you in 3 seconds.
It's the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
But there's a dark irony here, isn't there?
Yeah.
Because those AI models...
We're trained on Stack Overflow.
Yes.
The platform provided the data that trained the predator that eventually killed it. It's a perfect, tragic example of a transition where the new efficiency just completely obliterates the old community.
We're trading human connection, even snarky human connection, for synthetic speed.
We are. And it seems like we're building everything on top of these automated systems now, but sometimes those systems are fragile in ways we just don't expect. Did you see the story about the mouse apocalypse?
The Logitech incident, yes. This is a perfect counterpoint to the robot dominance.
It really is.
So, January 7, 2026, millions of people wake up, sit down at their Macs, and their high-end Logitech mice and keyboards just stop working. Custom buttons, dead. Gestures, gone. It wasn't a hack. It wasn't an EMP.
It was a calendar invite, basically.
Explain that.
It was an Apple developer certificate. These are digital keys that verify software is safe. Logitech's certificate was last renewed on January 5, 2021.
Oh.
It was set to expire 5 years later on January 6, 2026. And someone, somewhere, just missed a reminder. The certificate expired, macOS saw the software as unverified, and boom.
Just like that.
Global paralysis for Logitech users.
That is terrifyingly stupid. I mean, we're talking about $1 trillion tech ecosystem paralyzed because someone forgot to hit renew 5 years ago.
It highlights a hidden risk in this digital transition. We're building increasingly complex systems on top of these very, very fragile bureaucratic foundations. It's a house of cards held together by digital paperwork.
Okay, so we've got tech failing, tech succeeding, tech eating itself. Let's shift gears to the economy. Because if the tech landscape is shifting, the money landscape is practically having an earthquake. specifically in California.
The billionaire exodus. Yeah, this is a fascinating piece of legislation.
The 2026 Billionaire Tax Act. Proposals to tax the rich aren't new, but there is a detail in this one that feels aggressive.
It's the retroactivity. The proposal is a 5% tax on net worth over $1 billion. But the kicker is it applies retroactively to anyone who is a resident on January 1st, 2026.
So even if you leave today, on January 17th, they still claim the money.
That's the intent. And that's what caused the panic. People are scrambling to prove they left before the new year, or they're just leaving now and hoping to fight it in court later. Larry Ellison sold his San Francisco mansion. Chamath Palihapitiya estimates that $1 trillion in wealth has essentially fled the state.
Wow. But not everyone is running. And this circles back to our first story. Jensen Huang, the Nvidia CEO, is staying.
He is. He went on record saying he is perfectly fine with paying it.
Which is easy to say when your company is powering the entire AI revolution we just talked about.
That's true, but it also signals a divide. You have the old money or the venture capital class leaving, but the kings of this new physical AI era, people like Huang, they're so entrenched in the infrastructure that maybe 5% feels like a reasonable cost of doing business.
Well, maybe he just really likes his house.
Or that.
While the billionaires are playing chess with residency, the retail world is just collapsing. We saw Saks Global file for bankruptcy.
This is the death of the middleman. Saks had just bought Neiman Marcus a year prior, trying to create this luxury super entity to survive. It failed.
Why, though? I mean, rich people are still buying luxury stuff.
They are, but they don't need a department store to do it. If you want a Prada bag, you go to Prada. The brands have built their own direct-to-consumer empires. Department stores used to be the gateway to luxury. Now they're just an obstacle with overhead. It's another transition cutting out the intermediary.
Okay, let's zoom out. We've talked about money moving, data moving. Now let's talk about people moving. Because there is a statistic in here that just stopped me in my tracks. The U.S. migration numbers.
This is maybe the most significant structural shift in the whole update. For the first time in 50 years, more people are leaving the United States than entering.
That sounds impossible. The U.S. is the destination. That's the whole brand.
Not in 2026. The Brookings Institution estimates net migration for 2025 was somewhere between negative 10,000 and negative 295,000. Negative. And you compare that to the year before, which saw plus 2.8 million.
That's a massive swing. Is this just mass deportations?
It's not that simple. I mean, yes, enforcement plays a role, but the report highlights a chilling effect. Suspended refugee programs, reduced visas, a general sense that the door is closed. People aren't just being removed, they aren't even trying to come.
For a country defined by immigration, that is a profound identity shift. We're becoming a net export country of people.
It seems that way. And while we are, putting up walls and freezing visas, nature is doing what it has always done. The newsletter pivots from this heavy U.S. news to the Serengeti, and the contrast is, it's jarring.
I love this section. It felt like a palate cleanser, but a really powerful one. The wildebeest migration.
The Great Migration. While we worry about borders, 1.5 million wildebeest are doing the same clockwise loop in Tanzania they've done for millennia, and January is calving season.
The stats are wild. 8,000 calves born every day in the southern Serengeti.
8,000. And the resilience is amazing. Those calves are running with the herd within 3 days. It's a reminder that biological transitions, birth, migration, survival, they're indifferent to our technological or political shifts. They don't need a visa. They just move.
But nature isn't always so peaceful. There's a story here from India that is, well, it's tragic. The rogue elephant.
This is happening in Jharkhand state. Since January 1st, 2026, a single male elephant has killed 22 people.
In 9 days.
In just 9 days, 22 people.
That sounds like a monster movie. Why is this happening?
The elephant is in must. It's a phase of surging testosterone that makes bull elephants incredibly aggressive. But we can't just blame hormones. This is a habitat issue. That region has seen 1,300 elephant-related deaths in 23 years.
So it's not just an angry animal. It's an animal with nowhere to go.
Exactly. We're shrinking the space for nature. And when you compress a powerful force like a wild elephant into a smaller and smaller box, eventually it breaks out. It's another form of friction in this transition period. We are pushing against boundaries, biological, geographical, and those boundaries are pushing back.
Speaking of boundaries pushing back, we have to talk about the climate data. We kind of skipped over it earlier, but it feels like the backdrop for all of this.
It's the context for everything. The data confirms 2025 was the third hottest year on record. But the more alarming stat is the 3-year average. From 2023 to 2025, we officially exceeded the 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold from the Paris Agreement.
We blew past the danger line.
We did. And notice how it's reported. It's almost matter of fact now. That's a transition too, a psychological one. We've moved from fighting to stop it to living within it.
It's heavy. But the newsletter ends with a section called Mind Benders, and honestly, I needed this. It takes us from Earth to the absolute edge of the universe.
Yeah.
Roger Penrose.
Sir Roger Penrose. Nobel laureate. And he has this theory called conformal cyclic cosmology. And if you think robots twisting their heads is weird, this will melt your brain. He suggests the Big Bang wasn't the beginning.
Wait, the Big Bang is the beginning. That's page 1 of the textbook.
He suggests it was merely a transition. The idea is that our universe is just one in a potentially infinite series of eons.
Okay.
A previous universe expanded, aged, its stars died, its black holes evaporated, and that cold, empty, uniform state became the highly ordered Big Bang for us.
So we're just a sequel.
Or season 4000, who knows? But he points to evidence. He claims there are Hawking points, hot spots in the cosmic microwave background that are actually the echoes of massive black holes from the previous universe.
That is poetic. Even the start of everything is just a handover from what came before.
It fits our theme perfectly. Nothing is truly created from scratch. Everything is a transformation of what preceded it.
Which brings us to our final story. Much smaller scale, but maybe the perfect metaphor for today. Banksy.
The art world's favorite vandal.
The newsletter recounts the saga of Girl with Balloon. In 2018, it sells for $1.4 million at auction. The gavel bangs, and immediately a shredder built into the frame turns the canvas into ribbons.
I remember that. Everyone thought the value was destroyed. The art was gone.
But this 2026 recap shows us the result. It was resold in 2021 as a new work titled Love is in the Bin. Do you know what it sold for?
Tell me.
$25.4 million.
18 times the original price.
Banksy tried to mock the art market by destroying the art, and the market just said, thank you, this destruction makes it legendary, we'll pay double.
It proves a perverse but essential truth about transition. Destruction is often just another form of value creation.
Okay, so we have covered a massive amount of ground. We've got physical AI robots that are cheap and twisty. We've got the death of Stack Overflow and the rise of synthetic coding. We've got billionaires fleeing retroactive taxes, migration patterns flipping upside down, and the universe potentially being a recycle job. What's the big takeaway here? How do we make sense of January 17, 2026?
If you look at these stories individually, they look like failures or threats. Stack Overflow dying feels like a loss of community. The mouse apocalypse feels like incompetence. The 1.5-degree climate breach feels like defeat.
Right. It feels like things are breaking.
But they're all symptoms of the same thing.
Right.
The old infrastructure is making way for the new. The old internet of forums is becoming the new internet of AI agents. The old luxury of department stores is becoming a direct connection to brands. The old tech rivalries are dissolving into necessary partnerships. We are in a volatile, messy transition. It's uncomfortable, and as the elephant story shows, sometimes it's dangerous. But it is happening whether we like it or not.
So it's not the end of the world. It's just the end of a world.
And the start of the next one.
So here's my question for you listening at home. We've talked about permanent truths dissolving. In a world where robots act physically, migration patterns reverse, and even the Big Bang might just be a sequel, what permanent truth in your life might actually just be a transition phase? What is your Stack Overflow that feels essential today but might be replaced by something you haven't even imagined yet?
That is a question worth sitting with.
Thanks for diving in with us. Don't let your certificates expire, and we'll catch you on the other side of the transition.
Take care.